You are listening to the Next Play podcast, the playbook for high-performing leaders who want to exceed their full potential. From walking on the Ole Miss football team at 5'7", 150 pounds and earning a full D1 scholarship, to coaching thousands around the world and working with massive organizations like IBM. I've learned countless lessons that I'll be sharing right here with you. Join me as I interview some of the most successful people so you too can learn how to focus on always moving forward by deciding, planning, and executing on the next play relentlessly. So today we are going to be talking about how not to block and sabotage your success. And just so you know, and I got to be real, right? This is probably one of the biggest challenges I've faced. Just being honest, transparent, real. It's just been the biggest challenge, and it's a very, very challenging thing. I've sabotaged myself in many different ways, especially when it comes to success, and I'm going to share some of those stories here with you today. Over the past few months, I've watched people, whether they're in our program, whether they're working with us, whether they're just a friend of mine, and I'm watching people constantly sabotaging their success without even knowing it. And it's just really stood out to me because it's something I used to do a lot. And I was really good at sabotaging and crushing my success, like really good at it. And so today we're going to be talking about why people sabotage their success, how they actually do it. And then I'm going to share with you the ICE system, the 4-step system to overcome this. We all sometimes do this from time to time, but most people do this at an extraordinary level, like an insane level. And so we need to break that down. I love this picture. It really depicts what we do. And we hold ourselves back. We keep ourselves in a state of comfort. And so what we're going to talk about today is very real. We all experience this, even really successful people. It's the ones that understand when they're sabotaging themselves and to break through it and overcome it, right? So, okay. So why most people sabotage? Why do they do it? And there's lots of reasons, but I've kind of narrowed it down to the 3 or 4 most popular reasons that people self-sabotage themselves. And a lot of it comes down to the fact that we don't believe that we are worthy. We don't believe that we're worthy, and we don't deserve to be happy. We don't believe that we're worthy, and we don't deserve to be happy. A lot of this comes from childhood experiences, things in our life, and we just feel like I'm not worthy to do that. It's not a lack of belief in what we can do, right? That will come to the next one, which is fear. But what I'm talking about now is we actually don't believe that we are worthy human beings of achieving or getting to XYZ, whatever it is that you're going for, that we're sabotaging, right? Another big one is, and the obvious one, we talk about this a lot, is fear of failure and fear of success. We're afraid of, I'm going to potentially fail at this, and I have to deal with that. Or I'm going to succeed, and that's scary. And how am I going to handle finances? And how am I going to handle this? And how am I going to handle that? And oh my God, let me just self-sabotage it so it doesn't happen. A big one is because of change. A lot of people don't like change, right? We don't like change. We're not wired to just love change, right? So we don't like it. And even if we want more, our life will be different. Even if we want more, our life will be different. And what if our friends look at us differently? What if our family members look at us differently? Right? We'll always look at the old ways of doing things, even though we're sabotaging ourselves. We'll look at the old ways of doing things as easier. That's just how we are, right? We're always going to say, it's easier. But the bottom line is the world is changing. And so either we change or the world is going to change us, right? And I don't know about you, but it's way better going out on our terms, going out on your terms, right? So if you think right now in your mind and just be real, be honest with yourself, right? How many times have you been in a situation where you were on your track and you were having success and this and this and this, and you found a way to sabotage the hell out of it. You just found a way to do it, right? And I'm going to share some stories because, man, I was good at this. I was really, really good at this. At just crushing, sabotaging, right? So I'm going to give you a quick example because we see this all the time. It's a really easy example and everyone understands it because we've all experienced it, right? And this is a weight loss example, right? If you've always failed at something in the past, but then you start having success, you'll remind yourself, we remind ourselves, like we'll literally remind ourselves that all the times that we failed in the past. And so we'll start sabotaging ourselves with sabotaging behaviors since we're immediately experiencing the fear of failure. I've already failed in the past. I know I'm going to fail again. So let me just sabotage it now before it gets out of control. Because if others notice your progress and they see you're getting some progress, right? We would rather fail in front of less people. Right? So we'd rather fail in front of less people. Oh, okay, so wow, you're starting to see he's having some success. Maybe you're posting on social media. Maybe your friends are noticing, your family's noticing, everyone's noticing, oh, you're having some success, But we'd rather fail in front of less people, so let me just fail now and go back to my old ways. It's easier, I don't have to worry. And then we just sabotage ourselves, right? And what's so crazy about this is your subconscious takes pleasure, it literally takes pleasure, in being right. So when you self-sabotage yourself and you fail, your subconscious is like, yeah, I'm right. I'm always right. Right? So this is why you love being disappointed. You love disappointment in general. You go back to bad habits. And around you go, right? And we've been there. I mean, how many people, they go their whole life? You know someone like this. You know people that their weight loss marathon is a lifelong thing that never exists, right? You just go up, you go down, you go up, you go down. And it's the same thing in business. It's the same thing in sports. It's the same thing in school. It's the same thing in training. Up and down, up and down, up and down, right? Because it's like we have some success, sabotage it. We have some success, sabotage it, right? Because of all of these things with change and fear of success and fear of failure and believing we're not worthy. It's really powerful. It's really powerful. So in 2017, I was like really, really taking off really, really fast. And in all transparency, at the time, I was, 29 years old now. And 4 years ago, and I sabotaged myself in many different ways. At the end of the year, I hit this financial goal. It was crazy. I was, what's going on? What's this? And I found ways to sabotage myself. And you see this happen all the time. I made some big changes that I shouldn't have. And I did this all subconsciously. And I'll never forget, I did this my senior year at Ole Miss too, where I was making all this progress, and I said to myself that my senior year, if I don't, or if I take a step back, then during camp, which is when you're trying to earn a spot, if I take a step back and let other people make mistakes and progress slowly, then I'll have a better chance. Because in all the other camps previously, I came out the gun really hot, and then I didn't take as many big steps. So I thought, I'll just progress slowly. It made no sense, right? This was me self-sabotaging myself because of fear, because I was afraid of change, because I was afraid I didn't believe I was worthy. I just didn't believe I was worthy, right? And so you might be in a situation where there's something that you want, and you've been going after it, and you found yourself literally sabotaging yourself and saying, I'm not worthy. I'm not worthy, right? And so the question now is, how do we actually sabotage our success? How do we do this, right? I've kind of shared a couple examples And I'm going to be transparent with you, and I think that's important to give you some ideas and things that you can find for yourself, right? So there's many ways, right? Tons of ways when it comes to risk, when it comes to procrastination. There's so many ways that we sabotage our success. But here I want to share with you some of the most common excuses and what we say. Easy, this won't work, right? Very simply, this won't work. Just because it hasn't worked for you, but we say this won't work, right? I can't do this, right? Other people have done it, but I can't do it. I'm too busy right now. This is a huge one, right? I'm too busy. Oh, success, but I'm too busy to keep that going, right? I'm just not ready yet. You know what? I'm just not ready yet. I'm just not ready, right? You'll never be ready yet. I'm just not good enough. I'm just not good enough. This is what, like, that's probably the biggest one that we hear in people's, like, they want this end result. They want this goal, but deep down, they don't believe they're worthy. They don't believe they're good enough. They don't believe they're ready yet. And they'll never be ready, right? Like, how many times maybe you've said this. I'm just not ready yet to get that promotion. I'm just not ready yet to start that business. I'm just not ready yet to have that level of success. I'm just not, and we do that, right? It's because you don't believe you're worthy. You don't believe you're good enough, right? And that's why you're this guy in the chair cutting yourself a hole, right? And you see this over and over, like the guy in the tree cutting himself down. This is just what we do. So how do we get through this, right? How do we do this? Very simple system. It's called the ICE system, right? This is our Relentless Warrior ICE system. So we coach people through to get through this, right? To get through it. So let's break down the ICE system. Number one, you have to identify your self-sabotaging behaviors. You have to identify your self-sabotaging behaviors. Right? When you're clear on the ways you personally self-sabotage, you can recognize it when it begins to happen. Right? Before it goes too far. So I'm going to give you an example. And I do this sometimes. I'm like, oh, no. So sometimes I'm having the success. All this is really happening. It's going well. Or you may be getting a lot of sales, or you might be getting a lot of wins on your team, or students are doing really well, and you start getting this natural high, right? You start getting this natural high. When you get that feeling, what do you do? What do you do? In all transparency, I used to crave like wanting to have a drink, wanting to party, wanting to, like, I don't know why, that's just the behavior I had. I was like, oh, let's go out to dinner and have some wine, right? Like, but little did I know I was sabotaging myself. Because instead of using that momentum and that kind of like natural high of having the success and building on it and wanting to do this, instead I would go and say, hey, let's go to dinner, let's go have drinks, and then it would lead to the next day and I would feel a little down, and then instead of building on it. Right, I noticed people around me start to look at me different and talk about me behind my back, and so I would slow things down. I'd be like, well, I don't know if I like that. Maybe I should just chill a little bit. We don't need to have that much success. So how about you? When you're having success and you get that natural kind of high, what do you do? When people around you are you notice you're starting to have success and people are talking about you, what do? Right? So I would have colleagues and team members acting differently around me. So I would try to impress. I'd be like, oh, I have to change. I have to impress. It's all cause and effect. It's all cause and effect. Right? So what are your causes and what are your effects? What are your identifying your behaviors before you self-sabotage yourself? What is your cause and what is your effect? And I have two questions that you can ask yourself. Right? Two questions that I've written out. And this is what we ask our clients. What specifically triggers this behavior? For example, I have this the cause. I get this natural high when I'm getting success, and it triggers this behavior where I feel like I have to go out and do things and kind of like I can't control. The problem is I couldn't control that natural high. Right? And how exactly does this behavior manifest in your life, or in my life is what you would say. So what specifically triggers this behavior, and how exactly does this behavior manifest in my life? That's how we have to identify these, because everybody is so different, right? We all have different things that we do. So the question is, what is yours? What is yours? What are your self-sabotaging behaviors? Because once you identify it, then we can create clarity, right? So the first one is identify. The second one is to get clear on the underlying reason why you self-sabotage. Why do you do it? Is it because of what people will think? Fear of failure, fear of success, fear of change? I'm telling you, that's the biggest one. You can either allow fear to control your life, or you can make fear your bitch, or change your bitch. Are you not feeling worthy? I can't tell you how many people we talk to, and it's because they don't feel worthy. They don't believe that they should be able to do it. So I have 2 questions you can ask yourself. Very simple. What typically triggers this behavior, and how? And what patterns am I seeing that could help me to better understand this behavior at a deeper level? So question 1, what typically triggers this behavior, and how? And what patterns am I seeing that could help me to better understand this behavior at a deeper level? Right? Because we already know how to overcome fear of failure and success, and we haven't talked as much about change, but it's still a fear, right? Not feeling worthy, that's a tough one. That's self-doubt, self-belief, right? Which we do talk a lot about. Is it what people think? The fear of what people think. You got to get clear on the underlying reason, right? So for example, we'll use that same example that we've been rolling with. So after there's lots of different successes, you get a natural high. After you get the natural high, I feel, oh, I got to go do this. But why do I think subconsciously I have to go do that? My senior year at Ole Miss, why did I think I needed to go progress slower? That makes no sense. But it was because of one of these things, right? Failures, fear of failure, of success, or change of what people would think. Or I just legitimately felt I wasn't worthy, but I need to have clarity as to why. I believe my senior year, I didn't believe I was worthy. It wasn't the fear stuff, although a lot of times it is. It was because I wasn't worthy. And how many times have you taken a step back because you didn't believe you were worthy? Because you didn't believe you were worthy. Number 3, the first C is got to be courageous. What do I mean by that? You got to identify a courageous behavior replacement. So we know the behavior, right? Oh, I want to go out and get some dinner and have some wine. I got to replace that. So what I say is, you know the behaviors now, right? Got clarity. So now we got to be courageous. Can't worry about fear. We have to tell ourselves we are worthy because you are. So now do the opposite. You know the behaviors, now do the opposite. You only live once. I love it. You only live once, right? You can lay on your deathbed and say, maybe things didn't work out, but I did everything I could. Or you can lay on your deathbed and you could say, what if? Right? How many people lay on their deathbed and they say, I could have did this? What if I would have done that? But how many people actually lay on their deathbed and said, I did everything I could? I mean, I didn't have all the success I wanted, because you're not going to. You're not going to achieve everything you wanted, but you lay on your deathbed and you say, I lived full. I did everything I wanted. I tried everything. I took all the risks that I wanted to. So 2 questions, right? 2 questions. How and why is this a better way to respond in this situation? So you're going to do the opposite, right? Instead of going out and having a glass of wine and go to dinner, what's the opposite? What am I going to do? So how and why is this a better way to respond in this situation? And what are the key advantages of this new behavior? You have to justify it, right? If you're going to replace it, you got to justify it in your mind. So how and why is this a better way to respond in this situation? And what are the key advantages of this new behavior? You got to know. Remember, your reason and why must be crazy strong, right? We're not going to do a whole reason and why thing here. But what pain are you trying to avoid and what pleasure are you trying to gain, right? That better be strong, because if you're going to be courageous and get out of the box and do these things that 99.9% of people just won't do. They just won't do it because it sucks, because it's hard, because it hurts, right? So just remember, I just wanted to make that point. Just remember, your reason's got to be strong to do all this stuff. I mean, I see you all on this call right now because you already are, right? You already are. The George Costanza method. Listen, it's been a long time since I've seen Seinfeld, so I'm not 100% on that. But yeah. So the E is very simple. Execution and eliminate. Right? This is about the habits. We have to execute. We're switching a behavior, right? We're taking a bad habit and we're crushing it. And we're creating a new habit and we're executing on it. How long does it take? Trying the exact opposite. Yeah. So how long does it take? 21 days. At minimum, 21 days. It's practice. You got to do it practice over and over and over and over. I mean, you know this, right? So it's execute and eliminate. Practice subconsciously first. This is how I did it, right? I started thinking, okay, instead of doing that, like the going out and having going out to dinner and having wine, right? When I got that feeling, I started thinking, okay, so what am I going to do differently? And I started imagining what that would be like. And I literally just started imagining that over and over and over again, and that made it really easy. So when it comes to execution, first, practice subconsciously in your mind first. Like literally going over in your mind what it would be like first is the best way to do it. It's by far the best way. Then, of course, you do it in the real world and you execute and you practice. And you're going to suck and you're going to fail and you're not going to want to do it, right? So it takes time. You got to do it 21 times in a row for it to become a habit. But that's all that we're doing here. That's all that we're doing here. I just want to be clear. I want to be very clear on this. You deserve what you want. You deserve what you want. You should never feel unworthy, ever. And I know you have. I know you have, because we all have. You deserve to have what you want. You deserve to get what you want, right? You should never, ever feel unworthy, right? This is the same thing you should teach your kids, right? You should never, ever feel unworthy, because you can have and be and do whatever you want, whatever makes you happy, whatever success is to you. You should never feel unworthy. And this is literally what I teach my coaches over and over and over again. And the clients, you should never feel unworthy. You should always be and do and have what you want. Could you imagine not teaching your kids this, but then you don't do it yourself? How many people do you know, right? They teach their kids, oh, you could be, you could do, you can have whatever it is that you want in your life, anything that you want, but they don't do it themselves. They don't do it. They don't believe in themselves. They're unworthy. But they try to teach their kids, like, hey, or their teammates or their colleagues, hey, you could do it, you could be it. I'm going to encourage you, but they're not doing it themselves. What's the point? And how many people do you know do this? It's because they don't feel that they are worthy enough. And so because they didn't believe, they let their life go. And they're trying to change their kids' perspective, but they're not doing it themselves. And listen, people follow leaders. People follow people that do it. So if you're not doing it, how do you expect your team to do it, your colleagues to do it, your kids to do it? How? Right? And I know we're going on this point, but you should never feel unworthy. You should never allow fear to control your life. If you narrow down every single client that we have, every single client, maybe 99, let me not paint with the broad brush, most 99, like a lot of percentage of the clients. If you narrow it down to the reason they've never succeeded in the past, whether it's in sales, whether it's in leadership, whether it's in weight loss, whether it's in whatever, it always comes down to allowing fear to control their life. Not believing in themselves, not believing they're worthy. It always comes down to that's the initial stage of why they didn't do it. And it's the simplest question. How much longer are you going to allow this to control your life? How much longer? How much longer are you going to allow this to control your life? Fear to control your life. Change to control your life. Not being feeling unworthy to control your life. How much longer? And so my challenge for you today is to go through this process with one self-sabotaging behavior. What's one thing, one behavior, and go through the whole ICE system. That's it. And then you'll practice it, right? Just like every other skill, and you'll get good at it. Just recognizing it and realizing when you're sabotaging your own success, right? How much further, think of this for a second. How much further along would you be if you didn't self-sabotage your success? Would you be in a higher leadership role? Would you have a bigger, I don't know. So number one, choose one self-sabotaging behavior and go through the ICE system. Identify your self-sabotaging behavior. That's obviously number one, right? Get clear on the reason, on the underlying reason as to why you're self-sabotaging. Fear of failure, fear of success, fear of change, feeling like you're not worthy enough, fear of what other people around you may think, right? Number three, be courageous. Identify a courageous behavior replacement. Something that's going to be different, going to be uncomfortable. But you got to be courageous, right? What is that behavior? What is the opposite, right? What is the George Costanza method? Right, William? And number four, execute and eliminate. Execute and eliminate. This is the ICE. Execute, eliminate. Eliminate that bad behavior, that bad habit, and by replacing it with a new one. And Andres, you're right. 21 days. 21. And Andres knows. Andres is crushing it right now. Andres' commitment sheet was probably one of the best commitment sheets I've ever seen. He's committed. Super committed. And that's why he's probably getting the results that he is. So that's my challenge for you this week. And of course, as always, you got to take relentless action, right? You already know this. You got to take relentless action. There's no way around it. Are you going to start today? Are you going to start, I don't know, next week? Oh, I think I lost my my camera there. Hopefully you guys can still hear me. But when are you going to start? There we go. Got to take relentless action. Everything we do is relentless, right? You wouldn't be a relentless warrior. You wouldn't be on a part of the team if you weren't taking relentless action. So today, I challenge you my challenge for you is to start today, right now, right after this, is to get together. I know some of you have groups. Some of you do, some of you don't. Whether you're on your own, you're in a group, you're joining the group coaching calls, take action. Surround yourself with the right people, right? You have to. You have to. It's Monday morning, right? You're ready to rock and roll. You're here today because you want to get better. You're here, and it's really impressive that you are, right? Because there's a lot of people that aren't. They'll do the replays, but hey, you're here. You're here because you want to be better, you want to interact, and you want to improve. So take relentless action. You're a relentless warrior. Take relentless action. You're worth it. You deserve it. You deserve it, okay? No more feeling unworthy. You are worthy. You deserve it, all right? So go out and have an amazing week. Have an amazing week. Have an amazing week. You need anything, post in Relentless University. The app is like 99% done. It is super, super cool. I have it on my phone as do this test flight thing. Super awesome. I'm super excited. That is coming soon. I'm going to keep the word soon because I've already gone through, I think this is the third build. It just takes time. There's just little errors and this and that. But it has a lot of functionality, some really cool things, especially on the health and fitness side to go along with all this mindset stuff. And all of this will be a part of it. And all of you are grandfathered in, which is really cool. So have an amazing week. Be relentless. Be a relentless warrior because you are, right? Because you are. And I will see all of you next Monday. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Next Play Podcast. If you liked the show, make sure to leave us a review. For more resources, visit relentlessuniversity.com or download the free Relentless University app. And if you're interested in having me speak at your next event, visit relentlessrichie.com. Until next time.